Nobody expected the announcement to drop this suddenly. No warning, no hints, no slow leaks from insiders. One moment, the baseball world was quiet, and the next, a single official statement sent shockwaves across Japan, the US, and every corner of the sports universe. It wasn't about a trade. It wasn't about a contract. It wasn't even about baseball. It was something far more human, far more intimate, and far more powerful. The message was simple: Shohei Ohtani and his wife were returning to Japan immediately. But the reason, that was the part nobody saw coming. As reporters scrambled for answers, as social media spiraled into theories, one word began circulating, softly at first, then louder, then uncontrollable: daughter. But the truth was far more complicated than a simple rumor. And far more meaningful than a tabloid headline. When Ohtani stepped out of the arrival gate in Japan, the cameras flashed like lightning. Yet his expression wasn't the smile of a superstar returning home. It was calmer, deeper, almost protective, as if he carried a secret he wasn't ready to put into words. Not yet. His wife remained a few steps behind him, quietly, gracefully, avoiding attention the same way Ohtani avoids unnecessary drama. But the way he looked back at her, just for a second, said everything the microphones couldn't capture. This wasn't a trip. This wasn't a public appearance. This was something personal. Behind the scenes, those close to the couple whispered that Ohtani had reached a point every athlete eventually faces, a crossroads between the unstoppable schedule of greatness and the fragile spaces of family life. And for the first time, perhaps ever, Shohei chose family. The flight was overnight, long, and quiet. He spent most of it looking out the window, replaying moments of his journey, his childhood fields in Oshu, his impossible rise in MLB, the weight of expectations that never seemed to leave his shoulders. But this time, something was different. He wasn't traveling for a game. He wasn't traveling for a title. He was traveling to protect the future he was building with someone he deeply cared for. Japan welcomed them like royalty, yet Ohtani seemed almost untouched by the noise. His mind appeared elsewhere, focused on the reason for this sudden return. Focused on the small, quiet world he now called home. Rumors grew louder online. People claimed to know the truth. People insisted they had insight no one else had. But inside Ohtani's inner circle, the reality was simple and far more beautiful. The couple was preparing for a new chapter. A chapter built on responsibility, on love, on planning a life that extended far beyond stadium lights. He had spent years giving everything to the game, every ounce of energy, every second of focus, every part of his body pushed to superhuman levels. But now, he was discovering a different kind of pressure, the pressure of wanting to be present. Of wanting to be a protector, not just a phenom. Those who saw him during his first quiet days back in Japan described him almost poetically: walking slower, speaking softer, smiling more. Not the loud smile of victory, but the private smile of a man finding balance. Behind closed doors, he and his wife discussed the future, real future. Where to live, how to raise a family, which traditions to keep, which dreams to pass on. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't public. It was simply two people deciding how to shape the next chapters of their lives. And in that quiet planning, there was something incredibly powerful, something more meaningful than any home run or contract figure. Because greatness is measured in stadiums. But legacy is written at home. As the days passed, the tension around the mysterious daughter rumor reached a boiling point. Fans were desperate to know if the whispers were true. Reporters camped outside airports, hospitals, training centers. Everyone wanted answers. Yet Ohtani stayed silent, not out of secrecy, but out of respect. Some stories belong to the world. Others belong to the heart. When he finally spoke, it wasn't through a grand press conference or a carefully crafted PR message. It was during a brief, almost accidental moment, when a reporter softly asked if this trip was about his family. Ohtani hesitated, looked down, smiled faintly, and said only one sentence: "Some responsibilities are bigger than baseball." The world didn't need more than that. Suddenly, every rumor faded. Every conspiracy theory evaporated. Everyone understood that whatever the details were, they weren't for public entertainment. They were part of a private journey, a journey he was finally allowing himself to embrace. And as he walked away from the cameras, hand gently brushing against his wife's as they moved through the quiet hallway, something became crystal clear. This wasn't a retreat. This wasn't an escape. This was evolution. A superstar becoming something even stronger, a man preparing for the life he wants long after the last pitch is thrown. People often forget that legends grow older, that heroes become husbands, that icons become fathers, and that even the greatest athletes need a place where the expectations stop and the real human story begins. Ohtani had found that place. He had chosen it, and he was protecting it with the same intensity he brings to every pitch, every swing, every moment on the field. His return to Japan wasn't the end of a chapter, it was the beginning of a deeper one. A chapter shaped not by stadium noise, but by quiet conversations at home. Not by public victories, but by private joys. And maybe that's the lesson hidden inside this sudden, shocking announcement. That even the most extraordinary lives are grounded by the simplest truths. That greatness without connection is hollow. And that family, in the end, is the most powerful legacy anyone can leave behind. So as the world watches the next steps of Shohei Ohtani, the athlete, the husband, the man, one thing is certain. Whatever future awaits him, whatever milestones still lie ahead, he won't face them alone. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest victory of all.